Do you really want to go out of your way and to be the most intelligent person that you aspire to be? Like, how far you're willing to go to just impress other people, but mostly yourself? I mean, that's a big one. That's a very big one. Intelligence breeds both ways in life. People who just happen to be book smart, like people that are really book smart, like the intellectual, the full suit intellectual fresh out of college, a degree in mathematics, a degree in writing or architecture or archaeological stuff, astrology, astronomy, all that type of stuff. And then there's the people that are kind of street smart, who know their way around certain things in certain situations and all that type of stuff. You gotta know what intellectually drives you. Is it like real life circumstance, or how far you're willing to shoot to the stars type of intelligence? Can you map out an entire video game out of all the sections and understand how it's created like that? Or do you want to know how to get past that weird looking guy at the Walmart or the Circle K and get past all that without no issues? And that's really hard to go through. I mean, one person who's in intellectuals, most cases are not street smart, and the people who are street smart tend to know the difference between screws and screwdrivers, but definitely doesn't know what a doorknob is, type of thing. And that was just offensive. I'm sorry. I should delete that, but it's mostly a good idea. Comparing the many different things and like that, screws and screwdrivers. I don't know. But there are many different ways to intellectualize yourself and to aspire and create more mental capacity inside your brain. And doing this is a gradual effort to become. You can't become an intellectual overnight, but sometimes you can go overdrive and do that. Sometimes people really like figuring things out. Some people really like getting their long noses into that. And there's nothing I can really say. But some people have endless opportunities. A lot of people do. Everybody does. It's just an endless life cycle of opportunities. But nobody really knows what to do that unless they're street smart. So it's kind of like a weird balance, keeping that all straightforward. Some people really do like getting over the edge, figuring out the purpose of all life. A lot of people want to get into that. Like, there's an urge there that's higher than anybody else's urge. And this is called a soul urge. How far you're willing to go. How far you're wanting to figure things out for yourself. Whether it's street smarts or an intellectual type of intelligence. It's soul urge. And there are many different levels of soul urge. The higher you go, the more you want to figure out more and more about everything. Everything from star material to the color of skin not mattering, to a whole bunch of stuff. Like, why, like, for example, do you think they would market Monster better if it was green, or if it was mostly black like this? I mean, which one catches the eye, right? And there are different types of people that use that as exploitation as well. Well, saying it's a God-given gift is you're exploiting subject A, which is your intelligence, subject A, with subject B that isn't even in the thought form. Is just far away down the line of not mattering at all. You see, and that's how one of the big things, like saying you're intelligent because of a God-given gift, or you're just trying to make yourself feel better. And another example, and I'm not going to name names here, but I heard the example of, this person was a drug addict, and then God got in their head and made them not a drug addict. But really, it was just chemical changing throughout the years. Like, brain muscles functioning differently, chemicals in your brain acting differently. To completely blame that science on God instead of your own self. Not, first of all, you don't even have any self-worth. See, with drug addicts that want us to get sober, still don't have any self-worth. So they have to say, well, God got me over that drugs. And to be honest, if you do read the Bible, sincerely, but yeah, there's a lack of self-worth issues there. If you can't be proud of yourself by getting over a really bad habit, then you're not fully there recovering it. Because that's just the way. And also, backtracking here, but if you get into the Bible, it actually supports poverty. The religious character named Jesus was always homeless, kind of, like that whole ordeal that you always see, those homeless drug addicts type deal. Well, 2,000 years ago, Jesus was their leader, because he actually fought for homeless people and stole food for the homeless people, and that type of stuff. If he was alive today, if he came back, he'd be the drug dealer, maybe. He'd be the one that was giving everything, like making sure that, if you love yourself by being poor and not getting advantageous with your wealth, then anything can happen. But there are many different people. The master intellectual is 11. 22, if you're talking about spiritual numbers here, 22 is the master builder. They're the ones that know how video games are developed. Boom, just by looking at it and going through the game, whether it's an open world or through the level, they kind of know how it was built, kind of. That's master builder. They know how to build a house. They know how to do carpentry work. They know how to put in AC units. Just off the top of your head without learning. Also, 33 is the master architect. So, that is pretty much the master number. And you need to think geography and spiritual meaning for this video. Because intellectually, people have the knowledge to master thyself. You just have to work for it and become eternal being with yourself. But there's also those type of people that are like rocket scientists. That are Einstein. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be Einstein as a young kid. It's a very good thing. That's actually a compliment. Because the people that are calling you Einstein doesn't know anything about relativity, do they? But, same thing here. Even though relativity and Newton's law go against each other, I just don't want to spoil the end, but Newton's law and relativity don't get along. They were the one, Isaac Newton was heralded as the devil by the Protestants of the time. So I guess they do shit talk intellectual people. The dumb people talk shit about the intellectuals. And that's always a good thing. Because then it exposes their religion more. It's like, hey, is science and all this, Newton's law and all this stuff, is that really blasphemous, or are you just trying to control information? trying to get rid of the ideas, so you just call it blasphemous, right? But moving on, it's really good to be called Einstein. Why do you think they call it rocket scientist? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to do that. Well, who was the rocket engineer that created jet fuel? Jack Parsons, and he was a magician as well. Every time we go into space, it's all because of a black magician and follower of Aleister Crowley named Jack Parsons. And him and L. Ron Hubbard and Aleister Crowley all had a sex cult, and they did a Babylon working to summon the goddess, and she really did come. I can't really talk about this much, but yeah, that's where rocket scientist or rocket engineer came from. Like, you don't have to be a rocket engineer or rocket scientist to figure out what's the cashier, right? Well, no, you don't. But, a lot of people would get blown away with what actual rocket engineering is. Like, no joke. Especially people that invented stuff for the rockets and all that. You'd be surprised at history. Well, anyway, enough with this intellectual video. I think I just want to end this, because have a nice night. I do want to make a video about how certain states and in certain, maybe even different countries, they are putting in God We Trust. Like, especially in one of the states here in America, they're putting in God We Trust in the school. It's going to lead them kicking out a whole bunch of scientific theories and scientific thought and scientific paradigms. All of it's going to be thrown out the window. It's going to be the Dark Ages all over again. It's kind of depressing. But hey, that's life. One person can't change it, but a crowd, they can. You just have to think about all of the evidence that has come forth throughout the years of evolution and microbiology, single-celled organisms and all of that. I don't even have to get too specific. It's just kind of fact, and I don't really understand why people don't make this a big deal, especially when ideology tends to confront scientific fact. I don't know, man. This is up for the philosophers and the high-end philosophers to debate about. Anyway,